Welcome back to Socedo Live. Today we're going to be talking about how can you turn your brand as a marketer into the same level of breadth and attention that you would get if you were a media company like BuzzFeed, the New York Times, or even Netflix. Today is episode 43 on Socedo Live, and this is all about how do you get free attention, right? Instead of having to go pay those media companies to get that attention, how do you do it yourself? And that's the cool thing about social media, is that it gives you the same platform that these huge media companies have to create a bunch of distribution, but you have it now in your own hands. Whether it's through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you've got the power to create the same level of audience scope that those big media companies have. Now the challenge is, all those media companies, let's face it, they're probably better at creating content than you. And they do that because they're able to pick the right talent, they're able to pick the right topics. Think about how Netflix does this. I think that today Netflix is probably the biggest and most successful media company there is. And the reason for that success is because they know how to pick the right talent, and they know what topics they should be creating. Should it be a horror film? What kind of horror film? They know all of that because the data that they have. The cool thing is that social media gives you as a marketer the same data to create the same type of media company and content that the big guys are doing. So let's dive in on Netflix, because I think it's a good example. I think most of you have probably heard about the show House of Cards. Really popular original content on Netflix. And the way that Netflix was able to come up with this show is because of the data. They were able to recognize in their data set that viewers of the original House of Cards were also huge fans of Kevin Spacey films and of David Fincher films. So what did they do? They said, all right, let's go get Kevin Spacey, let's go get David Fincher, and let's go and green light, without even having a pilot, we're gonna go and green light this show, because we know that the data tells us that this is what our audience wants to see and hear about. So you can do the same thing. You can do that using social data. And the way to do that is to start with your customer base, because that's who you want to appease as a viewer or a consumer of your content. So take your customer list, your customer database, and you can use an enrichment service like Socedo, or there's others out there, to actually help you append all the social profiles of your customers. The next step is to monitor who is most influential in your customer base, who is already posting original content about topics that are related to your brand. Well, that's going to be the first place to start selecting talent and recruiting talent, because they're already a customer of yours. You've already got a direct connection to them, and they're probably going to talk really highly about your brand. So start there. Think about who's most influential, who's already publishing content, reach out to them and recruit them, just like Netflix would do with a Kevin Spacey or a David Fincher. The next kind of ring out is to look at who are your customers listening to, who's influencing them, and on what topics. That's going to be your next set of talent to go and reach out to and recruit them to actually create content for your company and your brand. The goal here is that you've now really turned your company, your marketing department, into a content machine that's powered and driven by big data to go and recruit the talent already in your customer base or in your space. And when you start with your customer base, that's when you know you're actually targeting the right niche. If you're a B2B company or a niche brand, you don't care about having the same breadth as an NBC or a CBS. You care about really owning the best talent and the best content within your tight niche. And by starting with your customer list, monitoring them, looking for trends and influencers, your marketing department is going to know, who should I go to for next in terms of content. Netflix is doing it. They just invested $8 billion in original content, and this is what they're doing every single day to make decisions. Well, social media gives you that opportunity as a marketer in every single company out there. You should be building a media company. It's how you're going to get cheap visibility, and it's going to be how you create moats around your brand. So think about how that can apply to you, and we'll see you next time on Socedo Live.